So I'm Connie Johnson. I'm here today with Jamie Turnbull. Jamie is a high school language arts teacher at Sioux Central Community Schools, and specifically she teaches grades 10 through 12. And we're going to talk today a little bit about Pear Deck. So Jamie, would you want to tell us a little bit about Pear Deck and how you heard about it, and just a little bit of background about maybe how it's being used at Sioux Central?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I ran into the Pear Deck booth actually at a tech conference, and as teachers, we're always like, oh, we're going to look into something. We're going to look into something, and I kind of had it on the back burner. But I was very intrigued when I talked to the developers and stuff like that. They must have sent me an email or whatever, and I saw that premium was free, like you guys are going to have, and so I gave it a shot. And honestly, I was looking for, at the time, a way to connect with my students when we were learning remotely. And I just wasn't feeling effective as a teacher after every class session, and I didn't know what the students were getting, and I had no way of really formatively assessing the content that I was teaching. So I watched one webinar, played around with it, fell in love with it, and just started using it with my AP English class. The kids were very receptive. It's very easy to use, no passwords to memorize or anything like that, and a code, and the kids are able to interact with you from their home or in the classroom the same way.
So you've become quite the ambassador for Pear Deck, and I believe when we were speaking earlier, you mentioned how much it's grown and expanded beyond what your original AP class. You want to talk a little bit about that, your use now, and how it's expanded?
Yeah, so Julie and I from AEA, we presented to the Sioux Central the Sioux Central teachers during professional development, and they were very receptive to it. It was nice. We were there one-on-one. We could answer questions, and I think 6 or 7 teachers are using it currently here and love it.
Awesome. And so we need to give a plug out to Julie Graber. Julie is our instructional technology consultant here at Prairie Lakes AEA, and you guys have been partnering to learn more and share, and she's the contact here at Prairie Lakes for anybody following who's interested. We'll give you her contact information at the end, but is there anything else you want to share before you give us a little tour and show us how a teacher would begin to use Pear Deck, Jamie?
No, honestly, it kind of speaks for itself, and hopefully what I show you, you guys will be able to use, and yeah.
Awesome. Well,
it's definitely worth the time, and it's definitely very simplistic. So.
Okay, so here we go, Jamie. We're going to let you take us on a tour and show us how it's used.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on what Connie and I had talked about and show you how simple it is to start a Pear Deck lesson. So this is one that I'd created, and I'm going to come back to this to show you. But originally, you just start with a normal Google Slides presentation. And let's say, there's several things that you can do with it. But if you start with just the normal presentation, you have your themes over here. Let's say I'm going to do a bell ringer slide. And maybe my question is, what are the elements of a short story? Okay. Now, how do I make this slide interactive? So you'll go to your add-ons up here in the toolbar and click on it. And then there'll be some type of Pear Deck add-on or whatever. Since I've already used it, mine says Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on since it's already installed. And you click on that. If you notice over here, we have a template library and some toolbar options. You can also add audio and whatnot. And then down here is another resource on how Pear Deck works. But I wanted to show you how easy this is. So I have this slide, and I want to make it interactive for the kids. So what are the elements of a short story? I want them to type all of them. So I'm going to put this text right here on the right. It says text. I click on it. Sorry, I'll do that again. So right here, this text, Click on that and it says working. I have the slide highlighted over here that I want to add an interactive piece to. It doesn't take this long, I promise. It's just the internet here. There we go. So now it's adding the interactive question. So down here, it says students write your response. Like I said, I'm just kind of giving you a rundown on how you can add some interactive things. And then later on, I will show you how the students will interact and how you can share your lesson with them. Let's try another one. Maybe I want them to be able to, what town is the novel based out of in Iowa? Okay. If I wanted to make a multiple choice, I could go here and make a multiple choice question. Once again, you just click on the interactive toolbar. And then I'm able to type in, if I want to say Des Moines, Sioux Rapids, or Mason City. Okay. And then you can add more if you want to. Update slide. And this is great because it gives, the thing that I loved most about it is I could formatively assess during learning, not just at the end of the lesson or whatnot, just, during learning. You can also make a drawing slide. So especially for math teachers, I know they love this one. If you go and add a blank slide, you want to say, solve the equation. Then you put an equation in there. I'm not a math teacher, so, but if you hit the draw, they'll add that interactive question and they're able to actually draw on the slide. So those are just these when you want to make a slide interactive. If you want to add audio, click on add audio. And then you're able to record. I would like you to solve this equation. Please show your work and submit when you are finished. Save it, add it to the slide. This is great for when your kids, maybe if they're quarantined at home or something, and I know several schools have that where kids are just gone for 2 weeks, but you don't want them to miss out on the lesson. When I start my lesson, they will be able to click on that, and I can show you that option as well. What if you don't have a lot of time? And this is the one thing I absolutely loved about Pear Deck is the template library. So you click on this template library right here, and it gives you lesson builders for beginning of lesson, during lesson, end of lesson. Also critical thinking and social emotional learning components under learning development, which is great. And then subject areas. So if you teach the littles, math, science, social studies, ELA, world languages, let's just do like a beginning lesson. Here, how about this one? What did you learn from the homework? Once again, you can put it wherever you want. This is editable if you wanted to say, what did you learn from the article? And it's already, you don't have to make it a writing one because as you see down here, they already have a written response. Here's draw 2 things that you already know about today's topic. If you're talking about a theme or maybe a current event, this is, once again, they already have the interaction on there because it's a template. You can also edit this. You can put a text box and add more, whatever you'd like to do. Okay, and here is an example of a draggable one. And it's asking how was the homework assignment? You could say, and I have several of these in the lesson I'm going to show you that I did. Do you agree or disagree with the verdict? If you were doing some type of court scene or something like that with, I know I use it for To Kill a Mockingbird. And then they're able to drag an icon. It's very interesting. And I think you'll really like it when you see what the kids can see. All right, if I go back to, sorry about that. If I go back to mine, it's essentially just like the one you created. When I'm done, I go over here to start lesson, okay? And that's how you'll be able to start it. Now there are two modes, and we can get into more detail about this later, but there's instructor paced, which I use in the classroom right now so that they can only be on the slides that I'm talking about and being interactive that way. There's also student paced mode where you can copy that link and students at home are able to go through the slides without you being there live. But I prefer when I'm instructing the instructor paced mode. And once I do that, you'll have a code. So all you have to do for your students is tell them to go to joinpd.com. And that's the same for every lesson you have, is joinpd.com. When they go to joinpd.com, and I'll just show you here. Okay, they are going to be asked to enter the code. And your code is, you'll get your code after you put start the lesson. So it's ASYIWJ. ASY, so I'm going to put that in here. ASY, got it. IWJ. IWJ. Okay. And they'll be asked to sign in with their Google account first. So there's no passwords and accounts like that. So they just need to know what their Google account is. And then this is kind of a cool thing that you can see later on, but I always ask them how they're feeling today. So, I'm just having a good day. I'm going to put green. You'll see that later on by their name, and I'll show you guys. So you can kind of get a feel of how students are feeling today without having to ask them or them having to share with you. And especially when we were doing remote learning, I love that because I know a lot of them weren't feeling the best and had missed their friends and missed school and everything like that. So this is what you see as the kid. They cannot move the slides at all. I'm going to go back to my presentation session. Okay, I'll move this out so I can kind of go back and forth. Sorry if this is confusing. Trying to do it the best way where you guys can see. Oh, where did that go? Here we go. Okay. So if I see here, I have one student connected because I signed in. If I start my class, this is where my toolbar is down here. The student will see nothing. I see I'm in presentation mode. I see that I can move my slides. Okay. The other thing that's really neat about this is you can see what students are saying and who's saying it, or not see what they're saying and who's saying it. You can open, it's called a dashboard. You can open it in a new device. And I really don't want to get too technical with this because I want to show you what it can do, but I wanted to let you know how you can see what the kids' names and how you cannot. So when I'm presenting, I always have it opened, my dashboard, in another window. And this is just going to show me exactly what I'm seeing here, but I'll get to that in a minute on why that's important. So I'm presenting, this was a This I Believe essay, and this is the first slide where they have to actually interact. It says down here, students write their own responses. So as a student, what am I seeing? Oh, this is my student screen. What is something you strongly believe in at this moment? I strongly believe in mental health awareness. Okay. If I hit enter, what is my teacher seeing? My teacher, if I go down here, oh, I have a response. I have to go to show responses. My teacher is seeing, I strongly believe in mental health awareness. Now they don't say, it doesn't say who the student is. You can also do a grid layout if that's easier for you to see all the responses. But on my dashboard, which is very important that you remember this is the only window you have open when it's on the screen, unless the kids, you're doing something and the kids are like, yeah, it's okay if we all see each other's. But I like to keep it concealed. So here I can see, this is Jamie. Once again, here's that face that I was telling you about, you'd be able to see and how they're feeling. She strongly believes in mental health awareness. Okay. If I liked that, I could star that answer and only that answer would show over here, because normally, and you'll see later on, you'll have a lot of people responding. I can also leave feedback to Jamie as the teacher on my dashboard, and I can say, great belief, and feedback. And then Jamie will get something on her screen. It's a little bubble right here. I'll show you that says you have new feedback, and then I can click on it. And this was great during remote learning. It was a great way for me to assess and connect with the kids during the lesson. All right, moving on to what the rest of the lesson. You can hide responses, so it goes back. Okay, that's how you get back to your thing. You can also lock the screen if this is something else that you wanted to spend a lot of time on. All right, here's just some essential questions. Here's some of the entice and enlighten things that I used. And then once again, another interactive slide is brainstorm a list of 5 beliefs you could use for your personal essay. As a student, they see this, and then they can type 5 different beliefs. And she said mental health awareness. Okay, if I hit enter, once again, I'll go to the teacher screen, and what do I see? If I go down here to show responses, I will see Jamie's list of 5 things that she just kind of brainstormed there. All right. This was what my kids looked like for my class. If you wanted to see what it looks like in a better representation of just what more than what one student looked like. And then the brainstorm list one looked like this. Okay. And moving on down to the life is not fair. What I did was I gave them some topics, and I wanted to know what they really believed, and this was a way they could discreetly explain what they believe. So back here in this presentation, it looks like this before the student sees it. Just wanted to show you what a draggable can do. Life is fair. Do you agree or disagree? Basically, that's what they had to do. Go back to my student. That's when they will drag it to agree or disagree. What do I see on my dashboard? Got to get out of this one. I see where one person has drugged it to that. The next one is, doing what is right means obeying the law. And you see that some people were undecided, and then other people disagreed. If I show here, I don't want to hover over that because I guess you can see that there is one special person for everyone. Agree, disagree. So that's just kind of what a draggable slide would look like. Getting into the other slides, I wanted them to pick one, so they narrowed it down, and then I was able to see their responses for that. And then to finally pin down what their belief statement is going to be. Okay? And that's about it. I mean, I really like how I can leave feedback. What are some other things? Let's say that my kids weren't getting it. They just weren't getting what... they weren't getting the actual I believe or whatever. You can add a new prompt, a beginning, during, or end of class to kind of just ask, do you understand? And this is a draggable one. So I just inserted that. It didn't have to be in my slides. I just inserted that. And then my kids are able to tell me if they're confused, if I can keep going, if to stop and need help. Once again, it's even when you're in-person learning, that's just a great tool to add that new prompt. Okay. show my responses. It looks like most of them need a little bit of help. All right. At the end, if you click end, let's say my lesson is done and you click end, it's going to ask you to name it. So I'm going to say Pear Deck teacher, or actually I'll just name it like English 2, period 4. That way you can kind of see. If student takeaways, that's something that we can get into later too. Students can get what they typed emailed to them. I don't usually do that. But if you save and end session, you'll come back to your original Pear Deck. And when you go to Pear Deck, app Pear Deck, let's Google Pear Deck. And this is where you'll sign up and make an account as well. It looks like this. You can see that if you are in the state of Iowa, you are Premier thanks to AEA. So you'll have all the functionality that I just showed. But when you hit end, now if you don't hit end, you can't do this. But if you hit end, you go to sessions. And these are all of the sessions that I did. Some of them were live and some were student paced. And then today at 2:15, our English 2, period 4, that's when you're able to look and see what your students did. If you don't want to assess, like I said, I normally use this for formative assessments only, but you can see that one response that I did there, as well as my agrees and disagrees that I did. Okay. So you'll be able to see the student responses. When it looks a lot better, it looks like this when it's finished. I'll do the other one that I did yesterday, or last week, I'm sorry. Go to sessions. This is what a finished one would look like if I did this one that I did with the English 2. So this is what I see when I go to that session. I get to see everything that they said with their names. And then I got to see what they're agreed and disagreed with. I also got to see other things that they agreed and disagreed with as a belief. So that is just Pear Deck in a nutshell. I would be more than willing to work with anybody that wants to. Here's my contact information. Jamie Turnbull at Sioux Central High School, and J Turnbull, Turnbull at siouxcentral.org, and then my phone number down there. Feel free to shoot me a text or anything if you just want some one-on-one questions or would like to set up a Zoom with a panel of teachers at your school that would like to also learn more about Pear Deck. There are also so many resources from Pear Deck themselves that they have done webinars, and you can search those. That's how I taught myself. But I would love to be a resource and would love to work with Connie and Julie and other AEA representatives to make sure that this is a great experience for you guys. And it's just an awesome resource. So thank you for your time, and I will let you get back to your day. Thanks.